everyone and welcome to Drift Streets Japan. Yes, this is the game that I'm gonna be replacing Need for Speed Underground 2 with. And first of all, a couple of disclaimers. If you go to this game's Steam shop page and read the game description, it'll say it has advanced engine tuning, it has most realistic and advanced physics, and most advanced graphics. And none of that is actually true. However, don't get discouraged by that, because I still think this game is really fun and you should check it out. Now, what do you do in this game? This is not a traditional racing game where you do races against enemies and thereby unlock parts and new cars and stuff like that. Rather, you just drift. Now, we start out with $6,000. I spent pretty much as much money as I could to get back down to a comparable level, because I have played this game before and made a lot of money. So let's just assume you buy this 240 at the very start, which you can just do by going to cars here, and then this will basically be the first car that you can buy that shows up. You can buy, I think with $6,000 you can also buy an MX-5, which is what I did at the start. And then you can go here to tuning and go to the engine. There's a couple of different options here. It's not that advanced. Like if I go to the block, perhaps you can see that the cost for this upgrade is $110. You can just click plus, and it added 3 horsepower and 4 Newton meters. The next one is going to be $220, and the next one is going to be $230. $230 no, yeah, $330, and so on and so forth. That is the same principle on all upgrades here. Now, turbos are obviously a lot more expensive, like $5,200 for level 1, and it goes up to $10,400 for level 2, and so on and so forth. So that is really, really expensive for the start. And yeah, now that I've just added a little bit of power to this thing, we can also go here and paint this. It's also kind of irritating that it also shows as default black here, even if the car is currently blue, and this is supposed to give you a preview of what the color on the car is going to be. Let's take a black 240, shall we? Can we modify the body? Yeah, we can actually on this one. This also costs money, of course. 250, 500, 750, and so on and so forth. At this point, I have to mention that I find the overview on the main menu a little bit, hard to get used to. Because if you're new, or even for me that I played it a couple of times, if you go like here in the tuning and you're busy doing your stuff here, where's the back button? It's all the way up in the top left corner. That's where you'd never put a back button. It should be like somewhere around these buttons that you use, right? And then if you accidentally not go to top left but top right, there is accident, you're out of the game. Like, that's a little bit unfortunate. And then there is multiplayer, which we are gonna check out during the series, of course, and maybe also the track editor. And for now, I just want to show you a couple of maps. Now, highway I don't find particularly interesting, but we can go to the Akina course, which is the one you see on the game's trailer. You also find that the engine sounds are, not only extremely loud. Would you please stop? Yeah, the game feels kind of early access, even though I think it isn't. because there's a couple of bugs that really shouldn't be existent anymore in a game that's fully released, but they keep updating this game on the regular, so I think they may fix that eventually. As you can see here, when we drift, we gain points, and for every 100 points we will get $1 when the drift chain ends. Now the time between drift chains is like the time window you're given between drifts is really long, so you can see it's still going. Yeah, now it's gone. Like, that was at least 2 or 3 seconds of a window for you to start a new drift in order to chain it up, and that is a really, really long time, and can sometimes lead to disaster where you're drifting, you're going really fast, and then you think, okay, now I'm gonna end this drift chain, and but in the meantime you bump into something and you lose it. Also, as you saw right there, here's a little bump, or a major one, like right there, and it reset my drift chain because it counted as me bumping into someone or into something. It counted as me crashing, even though I clearly didn't, and I kept drifting. It happened there again, and that is one of the annoying bugs, of course. Because what if you come there with a huge drift chain and then you just lose it for no reason whatsoever? You just lose all your score and therefore money because of that bug that you can't do anything about. Happened again. But I will say that this game sort of reminds me of the Fast and the Furious game that came out like 12 years ago for PlayStation 2. Aesthetically, like, this environment really reminds me of some of the tracks in that game, and also the fact that basically you drift, well, almost everywhere. That's also another thing that really reminds me of that game. Now, obviously, we are not doing like super hot on the money front still, because yeah, we don't have an amazing car here yet. But we are gonna be making some money and spending that on tuning. Or we could also go for an engine swap. That's a pretty cool thing you can do in this game. Is you can take pretty much the engine out of every car that's in the game and put it into the car you're currently using. Obviously, you're not gonna end up with one car that has 20 engines in it, but rather you can put whichever one you want in there. It costs, like, each of them costs money though, of course, so it's not for free. And yeah, once we finish this run on Akina, which is actually going pretty well so far, considering this is just pretty much a basic 240 with its first couple of upgrades. We're gonna go back to the main menu and talk about a couple more things about this game. But for now, let's just focus on how we drift here. Generally, you can see that as far as pace and speed goes, we're not really killing it there, but that is gonna be the case for, you know, the entirety of this playthrough. That's gonna be the case for all cars that you're gonna be using, basically, because apparently the scaling between like a car's speed and how tight the corner is not that realistic. Like, you could go... Yeah, you could drift through the corner. I just drifted through faster than I did. And I was at like... Wait, can I not move anymore? I was at like 47 kilometers an hour. Let's just reset. Oh, okay. I can move anymore? Did I break my engine with that? Let's go back to the garage. See, actually that never happened to me before, but that is one of those things that I really want them to improve. Now, we made a little bit of money, not much, but a little bit. And with that we can go ahead and tune this thing some more. Maybe give it like an ECU upgrade, and then another one of those, and then another one of those. Good. And now we're up to 191 horsepower, and I'm gonna actually then talk you through the cars that we're seeing here. Obviously some of them are mine already, like this AE68, of course. Then there's a Civic, there's an S2000, a Silvia, an RX-7, an Impreza, and only Japanese cars. There's only exclusively Japanese cars in this game. There's a bunch of different ones though, so that's not too bad. But there's first of all a couple of things that you need to talk about. For example, why does this Evo, the Evo 6, it cost $28,000 and have the same engine as the Evo 9 that cost $40,000, and the Evo 10 that cost $45,000? That's one of the things I don't really understand, and excuse me for that. And also the power and torque figures are just way off the real ones. Like, I've never seen an Evo that only has 170 horsepower, and I'm pretty sure that no, the S14 pretty much had 165 horsepower or something along those lines. But the Godzilla R32, the Skyline, I think that had more than 228, or maybe that was the naturally aspirated version. So that could be the case. But one more thing is that I know for sure that the 350Z had 280 horsepower, that there's probably no WRX that has just 190 horsepower, that the S2000 has 240 horsepower, and so on and so forth. So those numbers are just not correct on a lot of cars. In any case, there's only Japanese cars available that you can buy. However, if you do an engine swap, you'll see all those engines that you saw in those cars, and then there's this, the LS1. Why is there an American engine in a game that features only Japanese cars with Japanese engines? Just at least give us like a Corvette or something in the game too. Or maybe that's too much to ask for. But then why is the engine in there? That doesn't make sense. And also, let's go there again. Why does the LS1 V8 only make 203 horsepower? That doesn't seem right. Well, in any case, now that I've talked about that a little bit, let's go back and go to a different track here. Let's go to Togue Drift 1, which has only recently been added, same with Togue Drift 2 and 3. I can move again. Okay, so now this this corner is a lot of fun. Because, like, a lot of these corners in this game are just really long, and because you're going pretty slowly, you can keep an eye on the speedo in the bottom right. It makes the game like very. What is the opposite of stressful? Relaxing, very like. Very meditative, even if you want to call it that, because you have so much time to correct. Obviously, if you make a mistake and you spin, then that happens pretty quickly. But apart from that, you just have a lot. Yeah, like right there. But you have lots of time to just enjoy the slide. And that is, I think, one of the plus points of this game is that it's kind of novel in the sense that, you know, most racing games tend to be about like even faster speeds, even crazier stuff, and you know, all that. Whereas this is just, you know, slow down a little bit, relax, and have fun in your game. I enjoy that. Now, I will say that I wish the engine sounds were a little bit better, and especially in the case of this 4-cylinder engine, it really sounds shitty. But you know, you can't have it all in the game. But I would still overall like to see a couple of improvements on this game, but they are working on it constantly, so there is hope. I really like these environments though. And yeah, again, most advanced graphics, no, I don't think so. Like, if you're the kind of person who looks at the game in a Steam shop page, and when you buy it, you expect just what it says there, then you would probably be a little bit disappointed by this game. However, there are things that aren't mentioned there, and I think those things are outweighing the fact that this game doesn't deliver everything it promises, because it delivers something else in addition to that. And that is, as I mentioned, the fact that it is just more slow-paced and more enjoyable for more of the time. So how do you drift? In this game you can just enter a corner and hit the throttle, or you can of course pull the handbrake. Also during a drift you can, if you see that your car is getting carried to the outside and you need to slow down a little bit, you can pull the handbrake some more. Oh man, yeah, that hurts. And that's basically it. Also, one thing I'm gonna show you guys after this run is a little bit more about car setup that you can do in this game. It's pretty rudimentary, but it is a feature of the game, so I'm gonna show you that. And those car setup options, they really allow for a little bit more variety in your car's tunings. Okay. Already made like 8,000 on this run. So as you can see, if you really drift the crap out of your car on a togue, you can make a decent amount of money really quickly. There's also that track called Drift Track 1, which, you know, we're gonna be going to eventually, of course. But I think this car is just not enough power, just not powerful enough yet to go there. I think that track requires just a little bit more power to do really well on. There I was holding handbrake for like 2 seconds or so to close the gap between those corners there, and it worked out. Yeah, I'm going 40 kilometers an hour, 50, 60, like down the togue, and for some reason it doesn't feel boring, it doesn't feel slow, it just feels adequate. It feels fun. That's something that I think that's the first racing game that gives me that feeling that, you know, 50 kilometers an hour or whatever is not slow. Okay, we're at the end of this togue. As you can see, you cannot go further than here? No? You can? Oh, that was a different spot then. Well, in any case, it doesn't go much further than this. Let's go back to the garage. And check out the car setup. You can adjust front camber, rear camber, front offset and rear offset, which I haven't used at all yet. Steer lock to pull even bigger drifts and counter steer more. And then there's drivetrain front rear. So you can basically make your car entirely front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, or, you know, all-wheel drive with anything in between. And for more powerful cars, that actually makes sense, because if you send just a little bit of power to the front wheels, you're less likely to spin than with a pure rear-wheel drive setup. And yeah, I think that's pretty cool. For now, we're gonna keep this thing rear-wheel drive though. I did adjust the steer lock. And then, yeah, there was one thing I forgot previously. About overview in general. The cars in the cars section are sorted in a particular order. And yeah, if you purchase a car, it will still be in the same position that it was in before. So if you only have like 1 or 2 cars, you're gonna click through all of the others to finally get to your car. That was the case with my MX-5 that I started out with, which is by now extremely highly tuned, of course. But that is really annoying, because especially if all cars are black and yours is black too, like, where's my car? And then you only realize that, oh, select, here's my car. And you can't have the same car twice. Well, what if I want a 350Z with its stock engine and then one with an LS1? Can't have that. That's a couple of things that may be changed in the future. Some may not be. I don't know. But in any case, just, yeah, the game's not perfect, but I still think it's fun. And now what we're gonna do is this is, by the way, a RB26 swapped S15. So this has the engine from a Skyline, and we're gonna be heading to. Well, you know what? No, let's pick a little bit more of a more powerful car, like this 350Z, which is stock, and go to Drift Track 1. Because this is the one where if you get a car that's a little bit more powerful, this is where you're going to be making your big money. In my opinion, at least, that's where I made most of my money. And I had over 300,000, so then I spent it all. Need more power here, because there's a lot of like slightly faster corners. Even so, like, you're not really gonna be exceeding like 80, 90 kilometers an hour through any of these corners. You see, that's already like $180,000 or points, 200,000 points. That's over $2,000 already from the first like minute or so of drifting here. Almost went too wide there and hit the barrier, but didn't quite happen. And yep, okay. Whoa, okay, got a little bit too far on the outside there. That's 500,000 points already, that's $5,000. Don't crash. Okay, that's 1,000,000 points. $10,000 right there. Still going. $1.5 million points. So yeah, that's how you make money in this game. Okay, let's call it good at like 2.5 million points here. Or, you know, after this next corner. Which I guess is gonna be 3 million points. Or thereabout. Let's run and let it run out. And we got $30,000 out of that. I really didn't want to crash there, because obviously then I would have lost all those points and all that money. And yeah, that again, that is how you make money in this game. So let's just complete a lap on this track, which is actually not much longer at this point. It is pretty long overall though. Like, getting this far has taken us like what, 3.5, 4 minutes by now. So longer than most real life tracks. Then again, you're also going at much slower speeds. But for those insanely long corners, you really want the power to keep you going and not have the car straighten up, because it can't spin its wheels anymore. That was a nice little 360, but okay, there's a couple more corners coming up. So we are at $42,000 already, so we can go back to our 240 and then Either swap it and then turbocharge it, or turbocharge it right away. I think I'm gonna swap it though. I think this is the last corner, if I remember correctly. Yes, it is. And then to the right you have the parking lot where we started. Okay. Good. So that is Drift Track 1. Gonna go to my 240 here, select this guy, and then go to tuning. You might as well give it a body kit as well, right? Those, by the way, are not available for all cars, and sadly, so they still gotta add like body kits for the other cars that aren't this or the Corolla. Also, why does this just completely get rid of the grill and just cuts a hole into the front bumper? I'm gonna go with this one, the most expensive one. Rear bumper. It's not like these bumpers add like downforce or cornering force or anything like that. Side skirts. Sure, make it as low as possible, and then the wing. This one, no. Yeah, maybe. I don't know, I like this one. Good. There's no vinyls or decals or anything like that. We can change rims, I guess. There's not a huge selection of rims. And now we're gonna swap this thing and put in an LS1, because why not? Now it's already more powerful than the engine that we had before, which was already tuned. But we also have a lot more money to spend now. So yeah, I think that's a decent start to a series. Made some money, got our car and tuned it a little bit, put a different engine in it. I showed you some of the maps and how this game works. So let me know what you guys think about this game. If you want to see more of it, because there's going to be a little bit more of it, at least over the past few weeks. And hope you enjoyed this episode. Leave a like or a comment if you did. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.